Hello and welcome back to Scribble Everyday. I'm finally back with another episode. I had to slow down a bit due to university and some deadlines. As promised, the episode is about Tigrex drawn with references. And way more time. As usual, I start off with a messy general sketch. I don't care too much about being close to the finished result. They normally look worse than this one. This time, I took my time to correct it up front. And I probably should always do it like this, since I can save a lot of time when refining the line work. Well, talking about line work. That would have been the next phase, but unfortunately I forgot to start the recording. This means I will start off with coloring. So far I haven't done too many refined illustrations, but I want to get better, and I had some really good drawings recently. When coloring, I'm always blocking in the basic colors on separate layers. And then use secondary layers with a clipping mask to add shadows or lighting or other details. In many cases this approach works flawlessly, but this time let's say I forgot a minor detail. Tigrex has some more complex base texture, and using a clipping mask could lead to some problems. I must say, I really like the shadows on Tigrex. In my opinion, they created the right feel of volume. But as soon as I started to add the texture, I realized my mistake. I tried to change the color of the clipping mask and lower the opacity to create the same effect. It worked well with the yellowish base color, but on the blue, not so much. I also did not like the sharp edge of the texture, so I tried to experiment with the soft edge brush and some combinations. I even played around with less opaque brush strokes, and I tried to create some fading effect by using a less opaque eraser. In the end, I didn't like the results, so I decided to give it a try another day. Beforehand I looked up some getting started with digital drawing type videos, and I tried to understand how they managed to get rid of this flat look of a brush. I dabbled around with some custom brushes or settings, and I still wasn't happy with the results. A few tutorials later I stumbled across Mark Brunette and his beginner's guide. I skipped through the tablet and software part since I already got my setup, but he has some good recommendations. I'm using a Huion tablet by the way, and I'm happy with it. They're relatively inexpensive but good. Anyways, I started with the part of pen stroke and I learned two things. The first being that I never use the opacity bound to pen pressure, but it makes the line way more interesting. The second being more subtle. I noticed that I like the texture of the brush. It has this sketchy, scribbly feel to it, and luckily he was providing his custom brush set for free, so I wanted to check it out. And that's what I'm using for this painting. I will leave a link to the video in the info card and in the description down below. Back to the drawing. I added another layer so I could add the highlights and shadows. I picked up some color theory about lighting in one of the other tutorials, and it said something like if you got a warm light source it casts a cold shadow and vice versa. Since Tigrex is in an icy environment, the lighting should be cool, and therefore the shadow should be warm. So with this in mind, I set my layer from normal to overlay and started with the red color for the shadows. I was just experimenting at that point and I had no clue what I was doing. But luckily it was exactly the effect I wanted to achieve. To be honest, I still don't get why it worked, but that's not important right now. I had the texture and the shadow I wanted, so I kept going. And, well, I forgot to record the second screen, so you will have to endure the zooming. Sorry about that. After I was finished with texturing, I wanted to add some weather to it and decided to go for a storm. The idea was not too bad, but the execution could have been a little bit better. I mean, that's the whole reason for this channel. I want to get better with drawing and learn how to do it, and share the things I've picked up on the way. That's it for today's episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.